There aren't many films that manage to get a message this important across. Americans, stay out of the UK. We're all like James McAvoy.
You flipped out and tried to leave without saying goodbye?
So James McAvoy is finished with his role as Professor X, where he would take in a bunch of different children and treat them weird and, fuck them up in general ways. I don't think that has any relevance to this role. Anyway, there's this American family, and they go on holiday to Italy where they meet this quirky, fun British couple who seem so much better off than them because they're Americans, so they're all depressed. Their country is a third world country. It's awful. Anyway, yes. So they follow them back to the UK and go visit them, and a few weird disagreements, little cultural clashes, things like that occur, and they begin to think maybe they should leave before they all get mass murdered. I'm telling you, Americans, this is what you get. James McAvoy doesn't, unleashes like 5 of his different personalities. I can't remember how many he's got in there. It's a lot. But they're all the creepy ones, yeah. And the thing is, you don't really like the American family, because the film takes a long time getting to the point where you go, actually, yes, James McAvoy is just a full-on psychopath. You know that's coming. It's in the trailer. You know what's going to happen. But it takes a long time getting there. It really builds. It's not a horror film. It's not even a thriller. It's more of a thriller. Did that make sense? You don't love the American family for the longest time because they just seem so imperfect next to this really happy family. And you know that they're not really a really happy family, and that the problems that the American family have are meant to be, those are normal family problems, actually. You're not imperfect, you're fine. But they're still annoying. That doesn't change that fact. I don't really like any of them individually or as a family. It's irritating. And yet, this is the kind of film that's meant to make you feel uncomfortable. You know why? Because it's a remake of a Danish film, yeah. And the Danish film came out 2 years ago, so it really does feel like one of those, why don't you just speak English kind of things. It's really annoying when they do that. Just watch the Danish film. And it's always Scandinavian films that they remake like this. And normally I really hate them, because they're really bad. This one has James McAvoy putting in a really good performance. So actually, it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. It is pretty good, but you can tell along the way that they build the tension, that something has been a little lost in translation. So it turns out, and I know you're going to be shocked by this, that the family they're staying with aren't just some nice or happy normal family. Yeah, you know what's coming, and some films, they spend a lot of time on the big finale. This film does not. So this film teaches us many important lessons, such as don't go outside, don't make friends, don't go to farms, and of course, when it's time to leave, just Irish goodbye it. That's where you just fuck off. Don't say anything to anyone. Politeness is literally dangerous. That's what this shows us. I feel like there is something that's been changed in translation here, and that's a slight problem, because I always say films shouldn't be slow just for the sake of being slow. There's got to be a point to it. It's got to build the tension the right way. I feel like this didn't do a bad job of that by any means, but Scandinavian film, you can tell. I haven't even seen the original, but you can tell that the Scandinavian version, these kind of Scandinavian thrillers, they manage to have such a good slow build. It works so well. It feels so effortless. American and British films don't normally get it correct in quite the same way. American thrillers, they're used to being a bit more movie, and there's actual jump scares and little bits that are before the big oh god, shit hits the fan. And you don't really get that in this. It's just kind of generally uncomfortable in a purposeful way. I do remain quite shocked at how many films recently, especially, it feels like there's been a big uptick in it, are selling themselves as horror and aren't. This is not a horror movie. You can say it's a psychological, horror-y, thriller type thing, but I feel like more and more thriller and horror are becoming different genres, and this is a thriller. It's not really a horror film. That's okay. It's not a problem, and it was a really good thriller, but it just felt from the trailer like it was more of a mix, like they were going to get stuck in the house way earlier and trapped, and oh gosh, and there was going to be a lot more to what ended up just being the last 20 minutes. It has a lot of interesting ideas. The whole thing about McAvoy's family looking perfect in comparison to this broken American family that's not doing so well right now because they've got all these issues. But of course McAvoy has to be evil to look that perfect. Why can't a family just be happy? Why I know the point it's trying to make, but it's not a nice point, is it? Anyway, I'm giving the equivalent for adults of taking candy from the man in the white van 3 stars. This isn't a very good sequel to the 1989 hit film See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Gene Wilder isn't even in it. And this wasn't lighthearted or funny one bit. It's the weirdest double you could ever do that makes perfect sense and yet doesn't.